Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show, member of the Podbros Podcast Network. Don't forget to go to podbros.com and find yourself another podcast you want to listen to. And don't forget to check out our sponsors, Strap and Roll Soap Company, Tape Armor, and Rolls Gear. I'm Rob, and in day 3, it feels like, of the week-long Origin Immersion Camp, I'm giving you another interview, and this time it's with Sean Daugherty. And Sean Daugherty is a real interesting figure in not only grappling and submission wrestling, jiu-jitsu, but also in MMA. For a while, he was the youngest UFC fighter ever, fighting in UFC 2, so he's been around the game a long time. And we had a really interesting, and I think they said it was all over the place. He felt it was all over the place, but I think we hit a lot of great topics. So I hope you guys really enjoy it, and don't forget to subscribe to us and review us on iTunes, and I will catch you guys after the show. Heard your voice for the past
What's another trippy synchronicity? You look just like my recruiter.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
push.
What?
Push.
No, hell no. So ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. It's Rob, and today I've got a special guest with me, Sean Daugherty, out of Ohio right now, right?
Yeah.
What part?
I live in Ashland.
Ashland. Okay, well, he's got a lot of crazy stories. We'll get into why you should be listening to this podcast here in a second. We've also got James Hoffman providing comedic, relief or whatever. He's a peanut gallery today. So Sean, I appreciate you taking some time out of just hanging out at the camp to talk with me a bit about everything, I guess. So for our listeners, how about you give them a rundown of kind of how you got started in martial arts and where it took you up to this point?
1990, I started kickboxing. I was 14 years old. Then I got my black belt in Taekwondo, continued fighting. Now I'm 18. I'm living in Buffalo, New York with Kevin Rozier from the very first Ultimate Fighting Championship. I meet his manager, Charlie Anzalone. Charlie Anzalone asked me if I want to fight in the next UFC, which would be UFC 2. And I said yes. So he was on his way to go see Art Davie out in Torrance, California. And he brought some headshots with him of me, gave him the rundown, and next thing I know, I was an alternate in the UFC 2. 2 weeks prior to the event starting, I got another call from Art Davies telling me that Ken Shamrock just had a training accident and broke his hand in training. So he asked me if I wanted to be in the main card. I said yeah. So I was actually the very first fight of the night in UFC 2. I was Big John McCarthy's first Let's Get It On, the first time he ever refereed or anything like that. I also lost very quickly as well. I was a kickboxer, Taekwondo guy, and the guy I fought was a ninjutsu guy. However, just because, don't laugh about the ninjutsu part, because they still have enough grappling to beat a striker.
Well, back in the day, it was just kind of all over the place, and who'd show up, and you'd have no idea who you're going to fight, pretty much, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say that the first couple of few UFCs were an infomercial for Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
And Horion Gracie, just like Art Davie would say, he cared more about who won or lost. Art Davie just wanted to see, who is just what was going to happen. Let's just see what happens here. Let's see who really is the best kind of thing, and let's see how good of a show it is. But it was. I don't know where I was going with this, but we have so many touching points that we can go in my brain right now, and it's hard to even figure it out. There's so many stories to tell, but I was in UFC 2, man. I lost really quick. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I literally, if you watch the video, I pull him over. He does a sacrifice throw, a head and arm sacrifice throw on me, and I literally I grab his gi pants and pull him over on top of me into full mount, and then he locks in the guillotine choke, and I remembered I was told to tap 3 times. So I held on as long as I could, and I started seeing stars. I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, you're out. So, and then it was the first time I ever fought that it was over so fast, and I had so much energy and so much like, what the hell just happened? And I was one of the guys that said, oh, if Hoist tried to do that to me, I would just sidestep, kick, knee. Like, yeah, right. You know, it doesn't fucking work, man. That was my introduction to my study of bullshit martial arts.
No, that's all good, man. Like, you know, because James always gives me shit because I came from a taekwondo and kickboxing background.
It's okay though.
Well. Yeah. So was that the point where you're like, shit, I probably need to learn some jiu-jitsu, or did it come in a little bit
Well, Ken grabbed me first.
Okay.
Ken Shamrock watched me train while I was there, and he invited me even before the match to come live with him and go train for Pancrase. He gave the same offer to Jason DeLucia.
That's at the Lions Den, right?
Yeah, to go train at the Lions Den. Yeah. Jason DeLucia and I, we didn't have to do that fabled initiation where you fought Ken for 20 minutes because we already fought in the UFC. We already proved that, we're accomplished fighters. He wasn't, the guys he has to do that with were people he took off the street. I don't mean street as in like homeless people. I mean street.
Just guys who know
walking in off the street, who's never been tested. It's a lot like, the training in the Lions Den was actually harder than my training in pararescue selection course for the Air Force and combat control. I used to, while I was in the pipeline, I would think about how hard it was at the Lions Den. And that was the main thing that the Lions Den gave me. It wasn't so much about technique. Yeah, I did learn leg locks there. That was my first submission I ever learned was a heel hook.
Right.
First thing I ever tapped to was a heel hook. But what I really got from the Lions Den was a mental fortitude and toughness of a never quit attitude, and just put my body through hell. And I was considered a young boy, the Japanese tradition of young boy, where I did all the cooking, cleaning. I was they made me shave my head, shit like that. So, but in the long run, like if I would have stayed with Ken and took off for Pancrase then and there, it would have been better for my career. Because you get more respect in Japan that way if you actually follow some of their traditions and you grow up hard.
No joke, man. So we gone from kickboxing, UFC, to Ken Shamrock's Lions Den.
Yep.
So what got you into the Air Force then?
Well, while I was about my third month into the Lions Den, I sustained a neck injury while I was grappling, and I had to take some time off, so I went back to Ohio, and then some of my buddies that I was close friends with and everything, they became Mormons. So, if you've seen Book of Mormon, I want to see it live so bad. I've seen bootlegs of it, but it's so accurate. They're all excited to share it with me and things like that. And it takes me a few months to say, okay, let's check this out. So long story short, I become a Mormon, go on a mission, take a whole break from martial arts completely, meet my wife, get married, and then I settled down in Ashland, Ohio. But luckily, 40 minutes or actually 20 minutes away in Perrysville, Ohio, is John Saylor. Right. He used to be the head coach at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs for judo. This guy's a fucking monster. Like, he knows, he's in the walking encyclopedia. Alan Kohaj, Bad News Brown, was his mentor growing up, right? So he's a catch wrestler, he's a judoka, his jiu-jitsu's unreal. He grappled Jorge into a draw twice during one of those Gracie challenge videos. Yeah, they came to Colorado Springs and they beat like the karate guys and taekwondo guys and this and that. Got to John, who has a paralyzed left shoulder, can't even fucking raise this thing up. Jorge, he grappled Jorge into a draw.
That's wow.
Twice. But that footage didn't make it. Now, I'm not trying to upset the jiu-jitsu community because something I've noticed, Gracie jiu-jitsu and Brazilian jiu-jitsu aren't synonymous really anymore.
So they're trying to brand it off like, Gracie jiu-jitsu, we're the ones who do self-defense, we're the ones who like focus on, like every strike test has to be super hard as opposed to where Brazilian jiu-jitsu is just Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I'm a Zapatero.
Yeah, you are, dude.
You got Josh Leduc out there doing good Zapatero work with his tournaments and things like that. Good dude. But so Lions Den got me my start with that kind of stuff. And one thing I noticed about John is he did the same thing, 500 squats. It was just a lot of the same stuff you do in catch wrestling. What I learned at the Lions Den, the same kind of training mentality he was already doing. So I was like, This is like today I would call it a synchronicity. I was like, I'm home. This is where I'm supposed to be. And there was no reason to leave John. John has been my coach since 1997.
Right.
You know, and I traveled around. I ended up going back to Pancrase in 2000 after I won. I took second place at the Arnold Classic in 2000. It was the first time there was a grappling tournament at the Arnold Classic, and I took second place there. And then I went and fought Minoru Suzuki in Pancrase, which I lost. And then I was waiting for fights. My manager was Phyllis Lee at the time, and who managed Dan Severn, Jason Gotze, Chris Lytle, all kinds of different people. But I wasn't getting fights. And so I was like, what do I do? You know, I'm going to college. My plan was to go to college and fight, right?
Right.
But the fights weren't coming back then. We're looking at 1999, 2000, 2001 timeframe. And nothing's going on. So I was like, fuck it, I'll join the military. Well, I'm 25, 26 years old. Yeah, at the time. And I'm like, well, what the fuck do I do? I got a newborn kid, you know, I got a house payment, you know, this and that. What do I do? So I was just like, fuck it, sell the house, join the military. You know, so I tried going Marine Corps, right?
Right.
And because I had 2 shoulder surgeries already, the BUMED said no. You know, they're like, no way, you're not coming in. So my recruiter said, go Air Force. They have the Surgeon General, and they can give you a orthopedic consultation to get a waiver. So I went to the Air Force. I looked up all the cool shit that they had, and I wanted to go combat control. You know, I was like, this is high speed, this is hardcore. You know, this is, if I'm going to do something, I don't want to be stuck doing something lame. So I teach myself how to swim, jump through all the ropes, you know, get rid of my fear of water. Because when I was 7 years old, I had a near drowning experience where, you know, babysitters left me alone, and the bobbing that you do in Navy SEALs, you know, with your hands tied behind your back, and you go to the floor, bob up, take a breath, and sink back down. I actually did that to save my life at 7 years old.
Holy shit.
So I had some psychological issues to get over with water. So, but in order to pass the PASS test, the physical fitness exam for it, you had to be able to swim 500 meters and be able to do 25 to 50 meter underwaters. So I got rid of all that stuff. I even went under hypnosis for claustrophobia, you know, to get rid of the feelings of claustrophobia. I did all kinds of stuff. So I was supposed to swear in on September 11th of 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was my date that I was actually supposed to swear in on. And that I called my recruiter. I'm like, dude, I don't think we're going today, right? And he goes, no, we'll probably go tomorrow. So I went September 12th, swore in to the Air Force September 12th. And then, you know, there was a full bird colonel there, you know, giving the patriotic spiel of, you guys know you're going to war, and I applaud you for sticking around. And, you know, there's other people that were supposed to be here that aren't here today. You know, that were supposed to swear in yesterday, and they know that we're going to war, but you know we're going to war too, so you know you're going to have a busy life for the next few years, so we applaud you thank you for coming in, kind of thing. And then I reported for active duty January 2nd of 2002, or January 9th, sorry, or 8th, I don't know. Dude, I'm getting old, I used to know that shit. January 2002, suffice it to say.
How long did you were there?
8 years.
And then
So you're in 8 years, 8 years, and then after that, after that 8 years, what else? Where'd you go back to?
I got medically retired, and the last 2 years of the Air Force, I moved my wife and kids back to Ohio to have the basic allowance for housing, you know?
Yeah.
And because I knew I was going to be getting out, I didn't know if I was going to get medically retired or medically discharged, and they ended up medically retiring me. I've had 18 surgeries to date now.
Oh, shit, man.
Yeah, that put me back together. Now, I never made it in pararescue. You know, I went through the selection course 3 times. So first time I went through combat control. Then I got reclassed as an air transportation dude. I was the guy who loaded and unloaded aircraft. You know, everything you can do at an airport, I knew how to do. But it wasn't what I wanted to do by any means. So I went back and tried out for pararescue instead of combat control twice. Each time I blew something out and, you know, had to get surgery. So I've had 6 shoulder surgeries. My neck's fused from C6 to T1 with a titanium plate. Lower back has 2 titanium rods. but I've had 4 spinal operations altogether. My wrist has been operated on, still needs operated on. I need to have it either have a wrist replacement or a fusion take place there to cure that shit.
Yeah.
I have Kevlar mesh for an abdomen, 2 knee operations on the same knee, you know. I got more to come too, you know.
Yeah. You're only getting started.
yeah, but I can still move. I'm grateful. You know, the technique I've learned throughout the years, you know, has helped me stay healthy.
For sure.
You know, martial arts has been my death and my life. You know what I mean? It's
both.
hurt me, and it also has rejuvenated me.
It is kind of weird how that works out, especially, you know, like I've got knee injuries, foot injuries, hand injuries, just from martial arts, but still we come back to it.
Right.
For that, just for, like you said, the rejuvenation portion of it.
Rob broke my foot yesterday.
Yeah, I'll rejuvenate you later.
But it's like an alchemy, you know. It's if you do it right, if you do jujitsu right, you know, you're going to get a lot more out of it than the physical too. You know what I mean? You basically achieve a balance, but while you're in it, it's like this roller coaster. You're getting all your bumps and bruises, but you're learning how to keep your ego in check. I hate this be ego-less, don't have an ego. Bullshit, you can't do that. There's no such thing as not having an ego. You can have a healthy, balanced ego. You can have an unhealthy ego, or, you know what I mean? But what it does is we want to find that golden mean. You know, you don't want this extreme virtue. You don't want this extreme hedonism. You know, you want that balance in the two.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like that Peaceful Warrior with Nick Nolte. Yeah. You know, pulling out the cigar and the whiskey at the right time. Not all the time.
Exactly. So, now after Pararescue, is that when you started getting more back into doing grappling, getting into...
Well, I was on 8 different medications at that time.
Right.
Every single day, you know,
Were you like
from
hurting
pain.
a little bit or something, or?
Oh, pain, yeah. You know, it was all kinds of, you know, when you go through a bunch of surgeries, I went through like a ton of surgeries back to back, you know, like months in between them, right? And going under anesthesia over and over again. But anyways, one thing led to another. You know, you got your opiates. So I was an athlete going 100 miles an hour to nothing. And that I've been being told I might end up being in a wheelchair pretty soon, you know, for the rest of my life. And so depression sets in. And you want me to turn that off?
That's good, man.
It's just once in a while. That thing's fucking annoying.
We got a good flow going, man. It's
So I have this dilemma of all these meds. Oh, a spider just landed on me. How fucking rad is that? That's a cool looking spider. Shit. That's the wrong day to wear razor panties. I hope it don't bite me. But it was cool looking. It was all black with looked like a white something on the back of it.
Isn't that the venom?
Yeah, it reminded me of Venom. It reminded me of Venom. Shit.
You're talking about being
Well,
centered.
I hope
this one.
I hope I get bit. So, anyways, I'm on all these meds, and you know, it's hard to tell what reality is. But while I was in the military, my last year in, I read Eddie Bravo's book, Mastering the Rubber Guard, and he had that excerpt for the Emperor Wears No Clothes by Jack Herer.
Yeah. And
I read the history of marijuana, right? You know, here's a Mormon, you know, you know, looking at alternative ways to heal myself, and I'm basically down to the point where this is my life. I have to figure out how to save it, because following the rules isn't saving it anymore. Yeah. I'm going worse. You know, the 8 meds, everything was from speed for the day, sleeping pills for night, antidepressants, anti-anxiety, opiates, nerve pain pills, muscle relaxers. All these things were all in my cocktail every single day of my life, you know. And so I read this book, and this is where I crack a joke saying that Eddie Bravo saved my life. You know, I started smoking weed, and one by one pill fell off.
Right.
Took me a couple of years, but I weaned myself off of everything. I haven't touched opiates except for a surgery, and I only do it for like a week when it's just so unbearable. But
I was gonna say, yeah, anytime you get cut like that, like you need someone to take the edge off.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife's just got through another surgery. She just got out of it. What's today? Yesterday, and so like she does not like opiates at all. But it's like at that point where you're like, you have to do it.
I haven't taken a prescription med in years, like except for if I've taken an antibiotic for a sinus infection that's gone crazy or whatever. But I'm pretty much all natural, holistic now, taking care of myself.
That's cool.
Right. So you felt a huge difference.
Oh yeah, I was able to go back to college, man. I was on the dean's list, and I smoked weed every day, all day.
Hell yeah.
And I made the dean's list all the fucking time, you know. But what I did do is I gave up martial arts. I was at, throughout that mix, in 2010, I became a coach at Strong Style in Cleveland. And I did that for about a year. And then my wife got pregnant with our daughter Miriam, and she ended up getting pulmonary embolism. She was on bed rest. So from her first trimester on, or the starting of the second trimester, I had to be at home. So I had to quit coaching at the gym, came home, took care of my wife, took care of my kids, started college, and then I found myself at the heart doctor thinking I was having heart attacks, which I was having anxiety attacks. Yeah. This is 2013, by the way, 2012 to 2013. This is when I was finally getting off all my meds and completely weed. And my meds were giving me anxiety attacks along with just the thing. So I was thinking I was having heart attacks, right? So what it turned out was major. Again, it was just a higher form of the anxiety and panic attacks that I was already having from before. It's just that I was taking care of a wife, taking care of kids, working, trying to bring money in, and, trying to go to school. So they do a heart catheter just to make sure. My brother died when he was 37. From a heart attack. So I'm on the doctors put me on a watch list every couple of years, get checked. So they actually did a heart catheter, ran a camera up, and I had crystal clear pipes. And as soon as I knew that everything was cool there, I was able to smoke. I could smoke the weed, and the weed would open up my mind to let me talk to myself and actually use cognitive behavioral therapy and talk myself out of fucking these anxiety attacks. Awesome. So even if I'm not high, if I'm starting to have an anxiety attack, I can now talk to myself. I can coach myself right through it. Like, this isn't reality. This is not, there's nothing wrong here. Right. Calm the fuck down. Calm the fuck down. That's my,
There's a t-shirt coming out there later.
Want to calm the fuck down? We'll see about that. Another collab. No, but that's very interesting that it's something you could use to expand your mental capacity in order to coach yourself through an anxiety attack. Because, you get an anxiety attack, it's like a brick wall, and you're not going anywhere else until it either passes or something else happens.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. It's no fun, but, having all that on your plate and then just dealing with that and then having an answer for it.
Right.
It's kind of a very fortunate and, amazing thing for somebody to have.
Yeah, for me, I feel great, but I just don't like people telling me that I shouldn't do it or can't do it or I'm a criminal for doing it or whatever.
Times are changing.
I was going to say, definitely.
Finally.
That's why I'm trying to move to Oregon, man. I'm reaching out to Oregon. That's where I'm trying to land. That's where I want to be.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the, we were talking, me and Aaron were actually talking about this last night, Aaron and the Monk. And, I joke around because, I'm currently in the Army, so I'm not going to have any experiences in marijuana until I get out.
Right.
And it's just,
and that's what I did too with the Air Force. I waited till I got out, and I was just like, let's figure this out.
You signed to play by the rules, which is the way it is, but at the same time now it's not like
it's you're keeping your word, dude. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But I'm also not going to be sitting there, I imagine, because there were guys that I was in the units with who got busted for smoking weed, and I can only think of one of them who's like a scumbag, but that wasn't why he was a scumbag.
Right.
It was just, he's just a shitty dude. But it's like,
he's a buddy fucker, right?
Yeah, practically, man. It's more like a subordinate fucker. If you're an NCO and you fuck your soldiers, you suck. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was a good NCO.
Yeah, that's like rule number one.
People liked it. People wanted to be with Sergeant Doc. Yeah, I was a good, because I taught people, man. I lead by teaching. I'm not a good. I am a shitty fucking boss. Don't make me a manager. Don't put me in charge of people. Tell me to lead people, and I'll teach them. And and through the teaching process, it becomes self-evident as to why they should, and they exercise their own free will and agency. And yes, I do want to fucking do this. I'll follow you. Hell yeah, because I can trust what you're doing, and it's so simple.
Yeah, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be your teacher, your trainer. You're supposed to instruct people. You're supposed to make them better, because as time has proven with everybody, we're not going to be in that rank forever.
Nope.
You got to replace them. They got to operate on their own, which I feel goes into martial arts as well.
It's the same thing. It's all fractals, man. Everything relates to each other. Everything does. It's so fucking simple.
Yeah.
But people overcomplicate the simplicity of it all.
That's an understatement.
It's because of what cognitive dissonance, and to be able to change your fucking view just a little bit by, empathy is a missing trait in a lot of people, that come around. It's just like, how hard is it to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and really try to imagine and go there and, just try to imagine what they're fucking feeling for real, but nobody wants to.
No, because everybody's set in their ways. And
yeah.
I mean, I think that's why a lot of people do bring up, like, it takes like a big person or whatever to say that, like, be able to change their mind about an opinion after hearing both sides of it.
Right. Dude, I was a devout Mormon for 22 years. You know how hard that was to fucking, like, walk away from? It took me years, with, of like the cognitive dissonance kind of just like falling away, and just coming out into my own path and realizing, this isn't right for me. This isn't what I should be or what I should do. This isn't how I align my feelings, and what I feel is right and wrong doesn't match with this anymore. Because before it was just, I did it just because I was told to, and, I believed that it was true. So therefore everything else is true from it, and blah, blah, blah. And then when I started getting older and having kids, what really started was me raising my kids. And I'm seeing that the way they were telling me to raise my kids was not good for my family. It was putting barriers in between me and my children. It was actually doing the exact opposite of what they say it was going to do, and my wife and I and the whole family together, united, we was like, we're done. Wow. Nobody wanted to do it anymore, but it took time. It's a hard thing, like if you would have come at me with the stuff that actually changed, like the nails in the coffin a couple years prior to that moment, when I finally did it, I'd be like, bullshit. That's lies. That's just negativity coming, there's always enemies for something. But no, I started realizing, like, oh shit, wow, we did that. Fuck, we did that. Oh, fuck that, dude. That ain't me. That ain't me.
It's always hindsight, man. I kind of, not as like long in the Catholic Church as you were in the Mormon Church. So there's some things I'm like, dude, that's fucked up, man. Like, but when I was a kid and going through, like, yes, this is right. This is the way it is. Like, the big one, James is going to give me shit for this, right? He already knows. So the Catholic Church is taught that animals don't have the ability to think, choose, or love. And I was like, my dog loves me, man.
Yeah, no.
Like, I was like,
no, there's evidence. There's too much evidence otherwise.
Yeah, I was like, I'm in 7th grade. I'm like, I don't know, man.
See, and that's exactly it. Like, a lot of times I'm like, my experience has taught me otherwise. You know what I mean? With everything. It's like, well, this is this, but this is actually happening like this. Where does my cognitive dissonance end? Yeah. And we can, and to steer away from religion, or and stay the fuck away from politics in this conversation. But, let's bring this into jiu-jitsu, and martial arts. There's cognitive dissonance even in there. We see things with, like the IBJJF, the rules of the game is starting to shape the art.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You see what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But people are either 100% IBJJF or not IBJJF. There's usually not too many in the non-in-betweens. Like IBJJF kind of stuff for some people is just political, to where it's like they're better off getting registered IBJJF so that their belt is like there's something, because they're the only ones who are telling you what belt rank you are or what you can and can't be. It's like, what the fuck? Nobody's going to tell me who I'm going to fucking belt. And, it's like, it's crazy. It's like the IJF. Like, it's like the judo.
Right, and they took out what, leg attacks?
Yeah.
It used to be like, you could do attack.
They took off Morote Gari completely first, and then they were like, you can initiate a throw and then grab a leg, and now it's no grabbing legs at all, right?
Yep.
Yeah, not
crazy.
And that was the newest rule in this last Olympics, wasn't it?
Now, I'm not shit talking IBJJF, because there's a lot the IBJJF has done good for the jiu-jitsu community, of course. I mean, it's been a powerhouse. The name's out there, but there's alternatives. You have Grappling Industries you can do. You have Naga. I'm going to shout out other people too. Who is it? The Good Fight. New Breed. There's all these different things, but Grappling Industries right now is growing faster and stronger and going into other continents.
Is Grappler's Quest still a thing too?
I don't know.
I haven't heard of one.
Brian Simmons.
But yeah, that sounds
Simmons, I think it's
something like that.
yeah.
But I'm more partial to Grappling Industries. That's
why is that, Sean?
has nothing to do with they're my employers, or that I'm their jiu-jitsu roadie for the tournaments. No, but it's a great venue, round robin. You get to, you know, you get multiple matches than you normally would ever. Even if you have a small division, you're getting a lot of rounds. I hear the medals are pretty cool, but I hate dealing with those fucking things. They're all wrapped individually, you know, in plastic.
Yeah,
really?
oh
yeah, like there are 2 things of plastic on each one of these fucking things. I hate these fucking things. But no, I love working for the company, and I love traveling around. Like, weird shit happens. I get to fucking finally run into
link up, dude.
James Hoffman of Trap and Roll Soap Company. Fucking, like, I've been friends with this guy on Facebook for almost a year now, right?
Yeah, almost a year.
Yeah, through
It's funny, Rob and I have been friends for 2
Fisher.
years, and we just met finally in person on Friday.
Oh, really? See, that's the cool thing. I'm staying with the guy who we've been trying to get together with, and, you know, just like 20 miles away from here.
Yeah.
And because I stayed with him, I was able to hook up with you know, because we missed each other in Boston.
Yeah. Because we just both flown in.
Yeah.
And
And then I was supposed to meet up with you because I might have gone to Washington Grappling Industries, but that's out of the fucking picture now. So we had this moment, so it was kind of cool. It's just like all I wanted to do
It's
was
almost like the universe kept missing. It was like, all right, we're gonna.
See, I didn't come to Origin thing to go do the Origin thing. I came here to fucking see you.
Yeah.
But by coming to see you showed me Origin, and Origin's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
That was like, that's
Ironically, it's a circle.
It
It's
is.
a snake eating its tail.
A robber.
Well, actually, it's a. Sorry, it's not a snake.
actually.
It's a wave. It's a wave. You need to edit that out.
Well, it's
I'm
not.
not editing that. This
Sorry.
podcast is not getting
I meant it's a wave. It's a circle. It's a surfing wave.
Yeah.
What it's basically.
Yeah, barrel.
Yeah, barrel.
So yeah, it's really cool how everything just kind of works out. You know, I was able to stay with my son, and for the Manhattan show, he helped him. You know, I hadn't seen him in months. I mean, it's just been a great trip on this, and I've just been kind of like floating, just letting the universe be like, go here, do this.
Because you
check this
texted
out.
me yesterday, you're like, I'm in Maine, and I was like, me too, and I was like, where are you? And you're like, I'm in Wilton. I was like, that's 5 minutes from the factory where we were at the time.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, I don't know if I can get out there. I was like, come tomorrow, just come hang out, man. We got a couple hours, you know, we can hang out, and then we went down to the lake, had some fun, and then we're like, hey, you should get interviewed. And now we're here.
And I was like, hey, okay, whatever, let's do it.
Yeah, but hey, I'm really glad.
This is a weird mishmash, whatever, the potpourri of a fucking conversation, but it's kind of cool anyways. I like it.
Dude, we can talk about jiu-jitsu, we can talk about grappling, we can talk about none of it. This is the way.
What kind of time do we have? How are we on time?
Oh, we're pretty good, man. We could probably have about another 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because we also got the next session coming up too, don't we?
Yeah, 4:15.
Which was it the camp photo one for a session or something like that?
I think so. We're in both of them usually. Yeah. So we're at 2012, right? 2013. You've.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, my daughter's born the day before my wife's birthday, so our whole house is all April. Like either the kids are born in March or April, and me and my wife are both. She's March, I'm April, so we have all of our birthdays just in this one little thing. So you can see when they're born that Father's Day is when they were made. So,
The gift that keeps on giving. Yeah.
but yeah, 2012, 2013, I start college for business management, social entrepreneurship. I minored in philosophy and ethics. People are like, why would you fucking mix business and philosophy and ethics? I go, because that's part of the fucking problem with our fucking world right now. Because there's not enough philosophy and ethics being taught in critical thinking, getting people to fucking think for them. Think for yourselves. Think for yourselves. You know, it's a novel idea, you know. Have your own thoughts, have your own path, have your own way. Don't fucking mimic anything. Even when I teach people, man, I don't let them be like me. You know, I'm not looking to making drones, you know,
Right.
or clones or drones or whatever. They just do what they're fucking told. I teach people how to learn on their own. You know, if there's anything that sets me apart, it's not my fucking leg locks. Yeah, I got leg locks, and I've done some great shit with them, but it's how I teach.
You're a leg lock guy?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm not just a leg locker, god damn it. I can throw
I'm sure
you.
can do a lot of different
I can
stuff.
throw. I can
Smart.
punch.
I'm pretty gosh darn people.
I is important.
Yeah.
I love that part of that movie. What is that movie?
Use kind.
Yeah, they do that fucking makes me cry. I love that.
Mandy's.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Oh, I love that movie. It's I love that scene. It's just there's so much in that, but it reminds me of Stuart Smalley, Daily Affirmations.
Looking in the mirror. Yeah.
I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, and doggone it, people like me.
He was also a senator.
Al Franken,
Yeah,
who the Me Too movement kind of fucked him over.
Yeah, uppercutted him real
Yeah,
fucking hard.
dude, man.
Hey.
Men are pigs. Accept it. And I'm not saying accept bad behavior, and that's not what I'm saying at all. Please, ladies, anyone, don't take that the wrong way. I might have come out wrong, but what I'm saying is, I'm admitting that men are pigs, and there's a lot of work to be done in our country. Male chauvinism is a lot more than what people think. Now, and I draw the line just simply at equality. I don't think women need to be higher. I don't think men need to be lower, or vice versa. We need that like I said before, that golden mean of pure equality where it's no longer an issue anymore.
Nobody's a scumbag.
Yeah, I'd like to see it all go away, but unfortunately, it'll take time because we have a lot of ignorant people in lots of pockets of this country.
Yeah, no kidding. So, business and ethics, the best combination.
Yeah, and social entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
like solving social issues with capitalism, basically.
Right.
I'm not, if I'm going to do capitalism, I'm going to do it this way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like I believe in responsible capitalism. I am a capitalist, but I believe in responsible capitalism. I don't believe in he who has the most toys wins kind of thing. I believe that there should be balance in it all. You don't have to hoard. You don't have to hold back tons of money. You don't have to have it all. If people can change their minds a little bit and realize there's plenty for everyone, and we don't need to hoard. We don't need to, gather all the nuts and make everyone else starve kind of thing. It's something simple like that, but changing minds is the hardest fucking thing you'll ever do.
It takes a while.
Yeah, and so all I can do is I don't go out with I don't go on the internet and do this shit and tell people what's up. I don't go on Facebook and when I see something I dislike, go fucking say, well, you're an idiot for thinking that, or even, I don't even attack the idea on that person's line. It's just like, whatever, I pass it up. But I just live and let live, and if people can just grasp that idea, it's so fucking simple. It'd be a greater fucking world, country, backyard.
As long as we still get to choke each other.
Yeah, but that's one of the great things about jiu-jitsu. It's an equalizer. It reminds me of masonry. You take off your street clothes, you all change into clothes that you all look alike in.
Yeah.
You have a little insignia, you have a degree.
Yep.
You have your different degrees in masonry. That's all. Basically, people don't realize this, but the martial arts, they are based. It is a masonry. There's a lot of similarities between masonry and the martial arts.
So. It's ironic that you wrote that up. We had that conversation on Route 1 2 days ago.
Yeah, you and me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I'm not very familiar with masonry, but James was filling me in on some stuff.
Are you a brother?
I'm a travel man. Yeah.
From the Holy St. John's.
Yep. I think that's about all that we can say on that microphone for the rest of that. But yeah.
So, but yeah, it's jiu-jitsu is about alchemy. There's all kinds of alchemies out there. There's ways we can change ourselves. Alchemy, just to fill you in on the way I'm using it, is, we think of lead to gold. We think of physical alchemy, but that's not what it was ever meant. The golden mean, we are to turn to gold. Our minds are to become the golden mean of balance, and whatever that means. You know what I mean? Fairness, ethics, everything. So if it doesn't change you for the better, you're not doing it right.
Correct.
Awesome. So, Sean, before we head out, before we finish up this episode, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, sponsors, teams, anybody?
I don't.
The floor is yours for however long you need it.
Hi, Emil Fisher.
Yeah, thanks for hooking this up. If Sean didn't say anything, I was gonna.
Meerkatsu's awesome. Trap and Roll Soap Company's awesome. That's all I have to say about that.
Finish it with a Forrest Gump reference. I like it. So Sean, I really do appreciate you. Like, it's pretty much like James was saying, you rolled up, hung out on the pier, and like, let's do a podcast, and you were down with it. So I really do appreciate you taking some time out.
Yeah, no worries.
And
thank you. It's always fun.
Always welcome on the show. And James, I appreciate your side remarks.
I'll try.
No, you good. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Big Jiu-Jitsu Podcast, a member of the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Don't forget to go to podbros.com, find yourself another podcast you want to listen to, and check out our sponsors, Trap and Roll Soap Company, Tape Armor, and Rolls Gear. And don't forget to subscribe and like us on iTunes.
And check out that t-shirt.
Yeah, trapandrollsoap.com. I'm Rob. I'll catch you guys next time.